Oh, sweet Champions League, how art giveth and keep giving. It's not take a thing. There is no take a thing away going on right now. See, the new Champions League format gives us an extra round of knockouts with the playoff round before the round of 16. I know that means 8 more teams make the knockouts, but we get so much more amazing shit like this. I don't care. I'm loving it. It's like the old McDonald's jingle. That's how I feel about getting this extra knockout round, because not only is it giving us more dramatic home and away ties to decide things, it gives teams like Galatasaray a real chance to play on that big stage, right? And it's not like Galatasaray short on big stages, right? But you just look at the draws over, particularly on the second day. Like, I'm not going to show you, but let me just read. Qarabag against Newcastle, Bodo Glimt against Inter, Club Brugge against Atletico Madrid, Olympiacos against Bayer Leverkusen. I am of the opinion that the idea that there are only, the big 5 or the big 6 or the big 7, if you want to include Portugal and the Netherlands, right? You're going to have to expand that lexicon as we go through 15, 20, 25 years of this Champions League, because it's going to give more clubs an opportunity to get in that focus. And it's going to give more clubs outside the big 5 leagues a selling point to say, like, hey, if you can play at Galatasaray, you can go beat that ass. You can go literally just be better than Juventus. And that's what happened. First match, Galatasaray against Juve. Holy mamacita. Holy mama jamma. 5-2. Galatasaray waxing Juventus in this game. This was a very, very impressive performance. Now, the most impressive thing is always the home atmosphere. Galatasaray and really the Turkish teams in Europe in general bring the heat. It is not easy to go play on the road. Juve is not the best team in Serie A. They haven't been for a while, right? They did not look like the better team in this game. They were overawed and overwhelmed. Galatasaray opened the scoring. Juve actually had a very good response to that initially. 2 goals for Toon Koopmeiners. And I remember the announcer saying he hadn't scored since the Club World Cup, so a little unlikely, but his finishing was really good, particularly on the second goal assist by Weston McKennie. I mean, honestly, a good sign of how fucked up and weird things were for Juve in this game. Weston McKennie was playing striker, right? That dude, he's played fullback, he's played midfield. He can play on the wing or maybe an attacking midfield if you need him to, but he was rocking a full false 9 at striker for Juve today. And he did have an assist on this goal. It was a beautiful receive the ball, one-touch layoff to open things up for Koopmeiners. And you're thinking this is just going to be maybe a late goal from Galatasaray, and we'll see. But then Galatasaray in the second half gets a goal almost immediately, saved right into Noah Lang. The real issues here for Juve were possession somewhere near their goal. Because in the first half, they showed signs. The first goal that Galatasaray scores, bad turnover. There were a couple of other very good chances for Galatasaray that came off of just bad turnovers by Juventus. Just passing the ball to the other team in a dangerous situation. Galatasaray did create some of its own stuff in this game. Particularly, guy that absolutely jumped off the page for me in the game was this cat, Yilmaz. Absolute G. Burak Yilmaz, I believe his name is. He was popping off in this game, and he did some more damage later. But there were a lot of instances, 4 at least, of Juventus struggling to pass the ball out of the back and creating a pretty bad turnover. Led to the first goal, didn't lead to the second, didn't necessarily lead to the third either, although they did get absolutely dribbled. This was part of Yilmaz just delivering what was a yellow card to Cabal that eventually turned into a red because Cabal kept tackling Yilmaz every time he'd get by him. Yilmaz sets up a free kick that's shouldered in by Davinson Sanchez. And then things get wild because Cabal gets sent off. And it's just beautiful shaking and bacon going on by Yilmaz. Like, just tremendous low center of gravity power dribbling that Yilmaz was getting up to. Aggressive downhill playing. He was like a white Doku, right? That's what it felt. It felt like Jeremy Doku, but Turkish, basically. That's the way he was playing, and he put Cabal under a ton of pressure. And after the red card, the floodgates just opened up. Horrific turnover in their own 6-yard box nearly, trying to pass the ball around. Didn't know Osimhen was behind him. It's poked away. Noah Lang just tucks it home. They sub in Sasha Bowie, and he scores a goal to open the gap up to 3. Honestly, Juventus a little lucky they didn't give up more, considering Galatasaray down to really the last second was putting the pressure on the Juve goal to try and get more goals. And Galatasaray obviously benefited from the fact that Juventus was really bad today. On this day, they were terrible. They were not sharp passing the ball around. They just weren't plugged in mentally. I don't know what was happening. But even with that, I thought Galatasaray was a better team. They really felt like the better team. They had more intensity. They had more quality. They had more guys that were going out trying to make plays. Terrible look for Juventus. Galatasaray now looks like it's got its trip to the last 16 booked. And if I'm watching this, you're trying to figure out, well, did Juve really just not bring it to that degree? Or is Galatasaray maybe even a little better than we thought? Right? Do they have the capability of being dangerous to somebody like an Inter or something? But Inter's got its own stuff to worry about. Obviously, we already talked about this match in 2 videos. Real Madrid wins at Benfica 1-0. Probably felt good after Benfica managed to keep them out of the top 8 to get that bye into the round of 16. So Real Madrid coming home, I'd be stunned if they blew this, right? They're going to have an unbelievable edge after everything that went down in this match. And the crowd is going to be frothing at the mouth. I mean, I can't even imagine the atmosphere for that home tie for Real Madrid. Borussia Dortmund at home against Atalanta. Matchup of 2 teams who are seeing this as a draw that is certainly winnable for them. Dortmund able to take advantage of the home, advantage. Sergio Guirassy got the scoring open very early. Max Bayer scored in the 42nd minute. I give Atalanta a lot of credit for not giving up anything past this, because this is a very intimidating environment, and Dortmund kept the pressure on for basically the entire match. Obviously, you can check out the XG. You can see that from the stats. Atalanta was able to get out here with just a 2-goal loss, which gives them a chance when they go to Italy. But Atalanta is the seeded team here. They probably would have been hoping for more. But Borussia Dortmund, I mean, these are 2 teams that honestly, at this point, I'm kind of filing in the same category. In terms of, they would definitely be disappointed if they didn't make the knockouts. But once they make the knockouts, anything else just kind of feels like gravy. Right, and then this is a tie that they'll be mildly disappointed, either of these teams, if they're unable to get through it. But neither of these teams feel like an actual threat to win the whole thing. They absolutely could take a scalp, though, and this is a good showing from Dortmund taking advantage of the home advantage. And then there's Monaco and PSG. Weird match. Monaco just ambushed PSG. They had like no possession, but Folarin Balogun just scored 2 goals in the first 18 minutes. Shout out America. Terrible defense. Balogun's my guy, right? He's like maybe the striker at our home World Cup that we got going on, but their defense was bad. Like there was a free header 4 yards out for Balogun inside a minute. On 18 minutes, it's Balogun in basically a race with Marquinhos because the defensive line's positioning was so terrible. He did what he was kind of supposed to do in this situation, which was score the first 2 goals of the match and give Monaco this great chance. And then PSG gets a penalty, right? PSG gets a penalty and can't score it. Big time save by, what's his name? Kern. It's the double dot over the O there. Kern, big time save. The problem is that Dembele had to leave because he was trying to push through some minor injury and just wasn't able to do it. He goes out for Desiree Doué. That's 1A and 1B. If you're PSG, Doué comes in and just fires a ball right into the bottom corner, and it's like order was restored from that point on for PSG. They found a goal in the 41st minute, which was also an accumulation of pressure. It was ball wide, ball torn, ball ripped towards the goal. I think it was Desiree Doué it was Desiree Doué. He gets credit for the assist here. Shots, really nice shot, really nice save by Kuhn, and then just Achraf Hakimi's there to receive the ball, put it into the back of the net. Monaco did a better job of hanging on after Golovin. Obvious red card. They had to go to VAR to give the call, but it was absolutely a red. No way you could argue it. They hung on better than I would have thought. PSG had to turn into prime Barcelona to get the 3rd goal, and Monaco wasn't really able to threaten from the point that they got the red card, but at home they've managed to at least stay alive. Right, and this absolutely could have gotten out of hand considering how deflating it was to be up 2-0 and then all of a sudden let all of it slip. PSG did technically, obviously, with a missed pen in there, underscore their XG, but look at the possession. They had 80% of the ball. Reports of PSG's demise are greatly exaggerated. Right, the fact they didn't get into the top 8, they're just getting up to top gear. The guy that didn't even start in this game came in and looked like a world best 11 player. Desiree Doué was unbelievable. He looks like one of the next superstars of the game, like a name you're just going to be tortured by for the next 10 years because you're going to have to play against Desiree Doué. Yeah, I expect PSG to handle this very comfortably at home, even though the alarm bells were ringing after they went down 2-0 early. Champions League second day, I mentioned Qarabag did get to participate in the knockouts. They did so, they earned it. They did so very fairly. There's a lot of teams that didn't make the knockouts that you would have thought would have been better and probably are. Qarabag went and won at Benfica. They got results that earned their way here, and then they earned the right to get absolutely destroyed. And I think the honest thing to say about this tie is that we always knew this was possible, right? If things got rolling early, if Qarabag went rolling downhill, it would be like a snowball pick. They just didn't have the capacity to turn it around. And if Newcastle plays at their best, Qarabag's not going to be able to play with them. And Qarabag wasn't able to use the home advantage. They gave up 2 goals in the first 8 minutes. And so at that point, you're kind of fighting for survival. A big, inspiring halftime team talk gets them a goal, but it ends up being 6-1. The tie's over. Newcastle's going to be at home. They have to lose by 5 goals to give Qarabag any chance. I think you could play 10 matches in Newcastle and Qarabag wouldn't score 5 goals. So I think Newcastle's going to be feeling good, probably going to be able to rotate a little bit. This is the result of them getting a fantastically great draw in this case, and the last 16 in the Champions League is beckoning, which is a big moment for Newcastle. They delivered when they needed to. But it obviously wasn't the most interesting tie. This was. Bodo Glimt at home against Inter. Bodo Glimt, the team that had to beat Man City and Atletico Madrid just to get into the knockouts. Now, I was very surprised before those 2 matches that Bodo Glimt looked like they were going to be out. Right? It was very surprising to me that Bodo Glimt was not playing at the level they needed to in order to make the knockouts. Because if you watch this team play, particularly up in Norway during their Europa League knockout run, Bodo Glimt is really good. A lot of togetherness, a lot of technical quality. You got the feeling that their Rondo would be one of the most exciting to watch in the world. They are good. They don't have the experience, and right now they don't have the fitness. Because something to keep in mind is this team's only played 3 competitive matches this year. Man City, Atletico Madrid, and this one. They have a summer league. This is the off season for them, right? They're staying fit, obviously, because they knew this was coming, but it is different. Obviously, they don't have a bunch of, they don't have full momentum here. They don't have a bunch of matches in the season that have tuned them up for this, and they're still delivering this. I mean, they're bar none the most fun team in European League competition. They just are. They're just the most fun team in European League competition. I mean, no question, absolutely they are. They took the lead early. It was a lovely goal by Fett Esposito with a ball that kind of went in and fell to him, and he spun around and smacked it in the back of the net. There were spells of this game where Inter was absolutely in control. That's what you would hope for from them. That's what you would expect. But then in a 3-minute stretch, Bodo Glimt just has it. They just have it mentally. They're not afraid of these moments anymore. And they've got really good players. Haug is one of them. Not Hogue. I think it's Jans Petter Hauge, right? He is just a genuine star. That dude could be playing for a good Premier League team right now. I am fully convinced. Right, he had a lovely finish in the 61st, and then they just delivered an excellent, beautiful passing play. They Manchester City'd Inter. They just passed it straight into the back of the net for that 3rd goal to go up 3-1. Now, Inter did, they applied some pressure kind of late in this game. But it's cold up there. It's a long way up there, and it is not a good time having to play against this Bodo Glimt team. And now Inter is going to have to go in and beat them by multiple goals to make it to the next round. The interesting thing for me, one of the interesting things is that they had to clean all of the snow. They estimated they had to clear 80 tons of snow off the field. This is just brutal. But Italy is now in serious danger. Let me show you something. Let's play a game called Spot the Italian Teams, right? No Italian team made it into the top 8. That's fair. There's 5 Premier League teams in there. Bayern Munich, Barcelona, and Sporting. If you're looking for the Italian teams, you have Inter, you have Juventus, you have Atalanta. That's it. The other one, Napoli, finished 30th. All 3 Italian teams are behind by at least 2 goals going into the second leg. Atalanta down 2-0 to Borussia Dortmund. Galatasaray's up 5-2 on Juventus. Inter is now down 3-1 to Bodo Glimt. Right? I mean, you still might be able to make Inter the betting favorite to turn that around at home. Bodo Glimt's a different team when they have to leave the Arctic Circle. But The Italian league's been rotting for a while, but this could be, I mean, if there isn't we are looking at a real possibility here that there is no Italian team in the last 16 of the Champions League. Zero. And two of them would have been eliminated by clubs that are not even in a Big Five league. Galatasaray and Bodo Glimt. This is a 5-alarm fire. Like, the Italian league is becoming worse and worse. I know Inter made it to the Champions League final, but that might have been the last gasp of not a dying league, but a league that's getting a lot closer to France than it is to the Prem. Financially, competitive-wise, I mean, you still have the Bundesliga giving you more competitive clubs. La Liga obviously gives you, the big two, Real Madrid and Barcelona, are always going to be up there with everybody, and Atletico Madrid just has staying power. Outside of that, you're not going to get much. Right? Dortmund, they're beating Atalanta, Bayern Munich, Bayer Leverkusen. That's like a big three that's forming right now of teams that can go out there and do something. Red Bull obviously has been dangerous in the past. But I just wanted to point out that Italy is not doing well. Italy is sick. There is no team that is really carrying that torch right now. Inter could keep it alive. They are absolutely good enough to win this tie, and I'm not saying I'm even picking against them. But this is getting freaky. Right? It's getting scary to just even consider that possibility. There was this match, Bayer Leverkusen, speaking of the devil, they go on the road against Olympiacos. They eventually break through after an hour to take a 2-0 win in Greece. That probably sinks Olympiacos. Second leg, going to Germany, multi-goal deficit, going to be difficult. Didn't see anything in this match, as you can see from those stats. Obviously from Olympiacos, that's going to indicate that they have more to offer. If this tie was going to go Olympiacos' way, they couldn't lose at home. They've lost by 2 goals at home. Huge credit to Bayer Leverkusen for overcoming the Ten Hag effect they subjected themselves to earlier in the season. And then there was this super fun match. Club Brugge against Atletico Madrid. Chaos from start to finish. Really, really enjoyable. The first half saw Atletico Madrid jump out 2-0. And at this point, you probably thought it was over. Right? Julian Alvarez, early penalty. I mean, that's got to be a nightmare if you're Club Brugge. Little early penalty. It was their wonder kid, defender who had a handball in the box. It was like the worst possible thing you could imagine. Hard to debate the penalty call, and then it scored against their talismanic goalkeeper, Mignolet, who's there at Club Brugge. And then you get a goal right before the half on a set piece. On a corner that's almost offside with the flick-on header. It's just like you would imagine if you were designing the worst possible outcome for Club Brugge to try to pull off an upset, it would be this. But then they just woke up. Like, Atletico Madrid was uncharacteristically bad positionally on defense. They got beat to spots. The second goal from Tresoldi just gets right across the face of the defense, able to get the ball all the way to the end line. And Club Brugge, in a pretty Bodo Glimtian way, is able to just quick fire 2 goals that completely change the complexion of everything. And then, own goal. Now, granted, if Ordóñez doesn't touch the ball, Sorloth is going to tap it into the back post. Anyways, Sorloth looked pretty good in this match. Atletico Madrid takes the lead, only for Solis in the 89th minute to equalize for Club Brugge. Now, Atletico Madrid at home can grind out a 1-0 and get to the round of 16, but Club Brugge, in a very similar way to Bodo Glimt, to be honest, started their Champions League campaign nervous or just bad. They have now reemerged as the team we saw last year that can actually compete against elite European teams with consistency. This is a very impressive performance. You can see it from the stats. This was not at all like an FMing or a surprise from Club Brugge to be able to get this result. Remember, this XG includes a penalty that Atletico Madrid got that wasn't necessarily talent earned. It wasn't a penalty where it was going to be a big chance if they didn't foul him. It was just handball in the box. And so this was a very interesting match, and I am not ready to count out Club Brugge in the return leg at Atletico Madrid. I think Atletico Madrid's clearly not the best version of themselves that we've seen over the past 10, 15 years. And Club Brugge, obviously they are. The Club Brugge is similar to Bodo Glimt. They're not afraid. And they proved that. They went down 2-0 at home with a nightmare penalty set piece combo wombo and then came back and managed to, tie this up. It was literally penalty, set piece, own goal. Then Club Brugge overcame that adversity to keep itself in the tie. Very impressive. Thank you, Champions League. You have delivered.